Okay, Rabotai, we are continuing on the Halacha Yomit. We are in middle of some of the most complex halachot of Hilchot Shabbat, which is when to return food on an oven and when not. What are the parameters of Hazarah to an oven on Shabbat? Last time we spoke about when somebody is able to take a food and put it back on the oven. And what we said was that if a person is going to put it back on a plata, so then there's room to be lenient that everybody knows he's not cooking as long as the food is fully cooked and dry. Whereas if the food is going on top of a regular stovetop, so then you have to have certain conditions so that people notice that it's not called cooking on Shabbat. So a lot of people, what they use nowadays is that they want to heat things in an oven. In an oven. What is the status of an oven? Is it like putting it on a stovetop or is it on a plata? On a plata, it doesn't look like you're cooking. On a stovetop, it might look like you're cooking. So there, it's more stringent. So what's an oven compared to? In an oven, is it more like a stovetop or is it like a plata that we don't think you're cooking on? So let's examine what was in the time of the Chachamim. They had something called a kira. They had three types of things. They had a kira, a kupach, and a tanur. But our ovens, the poskim say, are mostly like a kira. A kira is a round pottery, clay type of device, item, whatever you want to call it, that they would put coals inside, and on top there would be room for two pots. Inside there was a lot of coals. People would always warm up their pots or even cook their pots on top. Inside is like if you really need it hot. It's like putting it in the furnace. It's like that's where the fire was. That's where the coals were. So the Gemara tells us the following rule, which is very simple to remember. To return something on top of the kira would be allowed if you have conditions of Hazarah. But you can never return inside. Because returning it inside, that mamash looks like cooking. Well, who in the world would put something in an oven, inside the fire just to warm up? So, there are many poskim that contend that returning something in an oven, there is no heter, there is no permission whatsoever, because it looks like you're cooking. In the last halacha, the last time when we spoke, I mentioned that I heard from students of Rabbi Ben-Zion Bashaul that if you want to put a challah inside an oven, that would be allowed. Because a challah is already baked. Everybody knows that it's baked. What are you going to think? That you're cooking? It's a baked item. So anything that's really baked on the outside, like a cake or something, whatever the like, according to that, Rabbi Ben-Zion Bashaul would allow it. Now there are those who contend, even more lenient, that they want to say that an oven you would be allowed to return directly in, because it's not like the case of the Gemara. The case of the Gemara, there was two options. So if you're not using the top option, you're going to use the bottom option. But nowadays, ovens are really independent of the stovetop. They're not connected. It's two different devices. A lot of times they're joined, but they're not connected. So if you're not, people are going to say, okay, you might use it just as a warming device. Either way, it's proper to be machmir by an oven, not to return things in the oven, unless it's like a challah. It's better not to. However, there is something called warmers, a warming drawer or warmers. That I think everybody understands that it's there only for warming. Who cooks in a warmer? Kishmokin who? That's its name. It's a warmer. It can't go up to can't go up 200 or 300 Fahrenheit. So that would be allowed. So once again, Hazarah, you just have to remember, it looks like it's cooking. So on a plata shel Shabbat, even though Rabbi Shalom Misas is more machmir, but many poskim say that since it looks like a plata shel Shabbat, they're lenient to put directly from the fridge as long as it's not cooked, as long as it's fully cooked, as long as it's fully cooked and you're not cooking, you're allowed to put it on the plata. If you are if you have a stovetop with a blech, so to be machmir, we said that you would have to put in an empty pot and return on top of that empty pot. You could do that even on Shabbat. You can even take an empty aluminum cookie sheet and put it upside down and put it on top. And that's what many caterers do, by the way. Put directly back on the plata. Putting in an oven is more machmir, but baked items would be allowed. Okay, so plata always allowed. Stovetop, you should make sure to have an empty cookie sheet on top to put on top of it. And in the oven, better not to unless it's challah. Chazaku baruch.